My name is Kaelyn Rupinski, and I just completed my first co-op in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. For my first co-op as a Northeastern student, I traveled to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam to teach English as a second language. I worked for Aston English School, an after-school learning center for kids aged 4 to 16. 5 days a week, I traveled 30 minutes by motorbike to one of Aston's 4 locations. My classes typically had about 7 to 12 students, with a Vietnamese teacher in the room with me. For an hour each class, it was my job to strengthen the students' knowledge of that day's vocabulary or grammar. Aston encourages their instructors to teach using games and activities. So whether it was relay races, bingo, or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it was exciting for both the students and me to be in such high-energy classrooms. As an Aston intern, I received a stipend of $300 a month, plus free lodging in a beautiful apartment in the center of the city. $300 goes a long way in Vietnam. It was enough to pay for my grocery shopping and frequent restaurant visits, as well as my taxis and motorbike rental. Additionally, the stipend covered most of my outings, including visiting the city's water park and multiple spa visits. Finding an international co-op was not very different than searching for domestic placements. I knew from before I even got accepted into Northeastern that I wanted to participate in international co-ops. After searching in parts of South America, Africa, and Asia, teaching for Aston in Vietnam felt like the best fit for me as a first-time co-op. Southeast Asia is made up of very intense history, colorful, spicy foods, and the most welcoming people I have ever met. My main task on co-op was teaching English. I worked at Aston's Tan Binh location with 6 other foreign teachers and about 15 Vietnamese teachers. As an intern, Aston volunteered me for a lot of extra out-of-school events as well. This included representing Aston at the city's annual book fair and holding entry interviews for a local public school that was taking a group of students to Australia. My biggest out-of-school assignment was being a judge and host for my district's public school's Golden Bell Challenge. The Golden Bell Challenge is an English competition consisting of 15 qualifying and final rounds for grades 2 through 4 and 5 through 6. The students' abilities to read, write, and speak in English are all tested. Participating in out-of-school events, though stressful, helped me feel like an integral part of the team. I felt honored to represent Aston not only in school, but also at events throughout the city. I learned a great deal about myself while working for Aston English School. Firstly, I learned a new meaning to the word flexibility. When I first started teaching, I did not feel prepared at all. It took a great deal of trial and error, researching, and discussing with other teachers to figure out the most effective teaching and classroom management skills. Writing almost 20 different lesson plans a week helped me improve my time management skills. As I became more comfortable, I was able to gauge how long each assignment would take me, helping me use my time more efficiently. Personally, I believe that one of the most important skills I learned is the importance of having a trusting and open relationship with your supervisors. I had 3 different supervisors, Min, David, and Tuyet, each of which I felt very comfortable approaching when I had any hesitations or questions about my teaching, my contract, or just life in Ho Chi Minh City. Approaching my homesickness problems with my boss was a lot less stressful, knowing Min was so understanding. And he proved that when he and Aston accommodated my needs to help me not only succeed, but be happy. The most exciting experiences I had while in co-op actually occurred outside of my co-op position. This year, Vietnam's biggest holiday, Tet, took place in the beginning of February and lasted almost 2 weeks. Tet, or the Lunar New Year, is sometimes described as Christmas, your birthday, and New Year's Eve all thrown into one super celebration. During this time, the majority of businesses and restaurants close for people to return to their hometowns and celebrate with their families. I spent 2 weeks traveling from the capital city of Hanoi in the north down to Phang Nga, Cat Ba, Hue, Da Nang, and ending in the central coastal city of Hoi An. Though this may sound like purely a leisure activity, I have never felt so sure of my enrollment at Northeastern than when I was traveling through those small cities. I was able to apply what I learned in my anthropology courses to various religious sites that I visited and lineage patterns that I observed. I fully recognized how important the study of cultural anthropology is, both to spread an open-minded worldview and to keep important traditions alive. I'm exceptionally appreciative of my time spent traveling Vietnam. But truth be told, who wouldn't have a life-changing experiencing this remarkable nation? As a cultural anthropology major, a large portion of my coursework has revolved around religions, languages, and customs around the world. My studies, along with personal research, helped me be more prepared to enter and participate in Vietnamese culture. Because topics such as politics and religion are considered taboo in casual conversation, it was not an option to discuss the current climate between the people of Vietnam and their government. Next semester, I'm enrolled in Ethnography of Southeast Asia, and I look forward to comparing what we discuss in class to what I experienced while living in Vietnam. Looking back, I wish that I was more prepared to live without a social support system. Though this was not my first time living away from home for a long time, homesickness and loneliness hit me pretty hard more than a few times. Thankfully, I shared my apartment with two other Aston interns. Katie, a fellow Northeastern Husky, and Jess, a Drexel student, were my family in Ho Chi Minh City. It was because of their company and friendship that I was able to conquer most of my homesickness. To quote my canyoning guide, Dak, that led me down waterfalls in central Vietnam, get over yourself. No matter how frightening or unfamiliar a situation might seem, you have it in you to power through it. This co-op definitely confirmed the fact that I do not want to be a teacher. I loved my students and I appreciate all I learned while teaching for Aston, but I am not cut out to be a teacher long term. That being said, living in Vietnam absolutely confirmed the fact that I want to continue to learn about other cultures and travel the world. I look forward to my next two co-ops, where I will hopefully have a position focused in nonprofit work. Working at Aston has taught me how to go outside my comfort zone in a professional environment. I have become more confident in my ability to be flexible and adapting. Ho Chi Minh City is the business capital of Vietnam. Working in Ho Chi Minh taught me what it was like to be part of the morning commute. It taught me how hard work can affect those you are working for and with. It taught me the value of working in a team and befriending your coworkers. Honestly, I would have failed completely as a teacher and an expat without their help. It taught me that though it is exhausting and stressful, teaching children is a rewarding and fulfilling position. Beyond work, living in Vietnam helped me grow as a student, a traveler, and a person. Firstly, I became much more aware of the dark history of countries like Vietnam and Cambodia that was largely caused by the United States and our allies. This was a reminder for me to always question our government's past and current decisions and to continue to have conversations about how we can have a more positive global presence. Furthermore, the ability to question our government is something I have learned to never take for granted. As I witnessed demonstrators being arrested immediately while protesting against toxic pollution by the Formosa steel plant, I was reminded of how lucky I am as a United States citizen to have the right to free speech. That being said, I've recognized how wrong most Americans' perceptions of Vietnam are. When I told people I was going to Vietnam, I was often asked, "Will you live in a rice paddy?" While there are thousands of rice paddies in Vietnam, I lived in Ho Chi Minh City, a loud, bustling city of about 10 million people and about 7.5 million motorbikes. Though Vietnam is commonly represented in American culture through war movies based in the 70s, the people of Vietnam have long moved on. To be honest, I have never felt so welcomed, safe, and embraced in a country as much as in Vietnam. I think the American people could learn a thing or two by speaking and working with the people of Vietnam. To Vietnam, my friends, and most importantly, Aston, Tham Viet and Kaelyn. I hope to see you again very soon.